absolutely no one at all has asked me to do a short tutorial on how to do an endless rope grommet. This one's going to be put on to each end actually of a canvas bucket. So I'm going to be making two of these. So what you're seeing here is actually the base of the bucket, which is a piece of plywood that I've cut out. Now what I've done is I've actually taken a single strand of rope out of 3 strands of rope. So you've got 3 strands of rope. I've taken a single strand out, and I've been very careful to preserve these little kinks in the rope. Now you saw me put it round the base that's going to go in the bucket, and I put it round a little bit loose, and that's important. Don't be afraid to put it on a little bit loose. Then I've taken from the middle of my strand, I have crossed the right over the left. So got the 2 ends put right over left, and then as you can see, speed it up, I'm starting to remake the rope. This is fast work. Now when I get to here, I'm working with a 2-strand rope, and I'm about to meet the other end. So here we are, we're meeting up. We're going to get a close-up in a minute. Now I've got a choice really about whether I go one side or the other. Now zooming in a little bit, I'm going to go on the near side like this, but it just felt a little bit tight as these 2 rope pieces crossed over. So I'm going to go past it. It just loosened everything up. And here's where the trick, where the real magic happens. I'm starting to wind the 3rd strand into the last remaining groove of the rope. This is quite difficult. If you wind it in too tight, then the whole thing will ping into a figure of 8 and you have stuffed it up. I find though that if you encounter the strand being a bit thick, doesn't really want to sit down in the groove, twist the individual strand you're working with tightly so it gets a bit thinner. Open up the groove, pop it in, and it'll open up again. So then get your best pink kitchen scissors and cut the ends off a little bit. So you've got these 2 ends. Now we're going to hide these. So I've got a strand, and it's made of about 10 twines. And so I'm going to count 5 off or thereabouts. And I'm going to unwind half of that strand. I'm just splitting it really. That's one of the 3 strands of the rope, our working ends, and I'm splitting it. I'm going to leave one of those split pieces aside and just work now with the other. So I'm taking the other strand, or the other end of the strand, and I'm doing the same thing. Count how many twines you got, halve it, and just carefully unwind what you've got there so you split it. I'm leaving the strands twisted together. Here we go. So each of those working ends has been split in 2, and I'm only going to use 1/2 from each. Now we started right over left, and we're going to finish left over right. And I'm just going to tie a knot, just a simple overhand knot, or as we like to say in Britain, a granny knot. Now watch carefully as, if I can keep it out of the shadows, as I tighten it up, and this knot just becomes another strand of the rope. Can't see it very clearly in my video, but it's just sort of camouflaged itself into there. I'm smoothing it out. I pull it slightly over tight so it just starts to distort. Okay. I'm taking that end and I am tucking it under the next piece of rope, just like a splice. I'm also flattening it so it lies like a sort of rope ribbon. So I tucked that end in the direction it was going once it was in a knot. Now I'm splitting it again. There we go. If you've got an odd number of strands, don't worry. If it's 5, keep the 3, work with the 3. And we're going to leave the other bit behind. We're going to trim all those off in a minute. And we're going to make 2 further splicing tucks. I'm using what's called, if you don't know it, a Swedish fed. And it's a piece of metal just stamped into a V shape, so it's got a groove. So when I shove it under the lay of the rope there, it's got that groove, and I can push the piece of what's left of the rope into the groove. Passes really easily under the lay. Smooth it, flatten it, and then I think we're going to give that a haircut. Oh, going for another tuck. Don't need to really split it again. You can do, you can just keep splitting it and taper it down. Let's see, right, grab the scissors. Snip. So we cut those 3, and that bit there is the other half of the original strand, and I'm just checking I've got the right one. So that's right from the beginning. So now I've got the same thing the other way. So I've got the other strand that was knotted, 1 bit left behind, 1 bit tied under in a knot. I've given it all a haircut. Now I'm just rolling it flat. So I just repeated myself. That's why I've sped it up. Don't forget, you can just rewind this and play this as many times as you like. Pretty good. That can get stitched around the opening of my bucket, and another one around the bottom to stop it bashing the deck. Best enjoyed with coffee.